Welcome, friends and family and fable tellers, to the Casting Friendship Podcast, a Dungeons and Dragons and Feelings podcast. My name's Kara.
I'm Melanie.
Together we're KaraMel. And we are joined by our incredibly lovely and wonderful and smart and funny friend, Robin.
Welcome.
Hi, Robin. You want to tell them a little bit about yourself?
Oh, yes. So I'm Robin. On the campaign, I play Bula, the half-orc barbarian. And I think I might actually be a half-orc barbarian in real life, too. So it fits.
Hot. We love that. Yeah, today we decided to bring on the other lady person from the Knights of D20 because we are going to talk about gender in role-playing games, specifically being a woman playing Dungeons and Dragons. And if you know us by now, you know that that means we're going to talk about, like, a lot of girly shit today. So we hope you stick around and listen, even if you're not of the female persuasion. And yeah, let's get on into this thing.
I'd like to cast friends.
Roll for charisma. Okay, this is a Dungeons and Dragons and Feelings podcast, so let's start with the usual. Melanie, how are you feeling today?
You know what? I'm actually feeling pretty good. I had a really hectic 2 days. I had barely any time to do anything. I could barely get any sleep. So I was feeling pretty ragged, but we just finished recording our book club episode. I'm feeling a little bit more awake, a little bit more energized, and I am ready to dive deep into our emotional chat today.
Ooh la la. All right.
How are you feeling?
Ooh. Yeah, today was a crazy day of work. We had someone who was not pulling their weight. That's all I'll say, who are no longer with us. So me and the other people who got hired at the same time as me, we're helping to kind of triage that whole situation and go through all these case files that were a hot mess. So it was a tiring day, and I was sick for a lot of the week. I'm still kind of in recovery mode from being pretty sick for a couple days. So, even though it was like a rough day, like it was hard. It was a lot of work. We were sweating. But it was still like very satisfying. So I'm feeling pretty empowered. Like being in a new job, helping like in a crisis feels really good to me. Like I tend to keep the coolest head when things are going sideways.
Yeah.
It really, I don't know, it brings a certain zen. I guess I'm a glutton for punishment, or I'm like running off adrenaline. I like love the adrenaline rush. So I came home feeling like tired, but pretty good and pretty
like you're killing it.
Yeah, like I'm killing it, like very empowered. So I'd say that's how I'm feeling tonight.
I love that.
Yeah. Robin, how you feeling?
Robin.
So this week has been a little overwhelming. Just a lot of things that fell on the same week. So just because that's when they are. But I feel like Thursday is my day off from work. And for some reason, that always gets me a little more hectic feeling, because during the week, I work like 10 to 12-hour days.
Yeah.
When I'm at work, I'm just there.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
That's all I can do. That's all I can concentrate on, which it's a lot. But it's just that one thing. On my days off, I feel like there's 5,000 different things I have to try to get done. So, it's good. I am got a lot of homework turned in today, which is great. Studying for that test I still need to take.
Thank you for coming to record. I know you still have the tests coming.
I think my brain needed a break, so this actually is helpful. So,
Good.
yeah.
I definitely know what you mean, because I feel like you all, like, during the week you're like, oh, I'm just gonna do that on my day off, and then your day off comes and you're like, oh, I have so many things that I
Thousand
put off
things.
to today.
And that's why we talk about D&D being like such an escape. Like, truly, it feels like another way that you can just focus on one thing for a minute. Even though with a group like ours, it becomes 8 more things to do on your day off.
There is that.
So true.
Well, I hope that soon, someday soon, you feel, not that you feel, that you have less overwhelming amount of things to do in your life, because I know how hard it is to do all the things at once.
School's not forever. I'm close. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So
yeah, I'm so excited. We're all gonna surprise you at your graduation.
Oh, girl, I'm not going.
We'll just be there, and she's not there.
I'm not there. I've already walked the stage for a degree. I already have one. I don't need to do it again. I just need to have the degree.
Yeah, you just want that pay raise, honey.
I just need that pay raise.
You're amazing for juggling so much.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you kill it. You are an inspiration. Good grief. Okay. Wow. Speaking of being an inspiration, let's talk about being a woman.
Mm-hmm. Does that get me inspiration?
Yes, I think being a woman should automatically give you inspiration.
I'm going to put that on my character sheet.
It's a gender feat.
She's just like, yeah, I roll, but I have inspiration. All the guys are like, wait, why? She's like, because
hello,
boobs. Hey,
because I'm in the luteal phase and I'm still here. Come on. Yeah. Robin, what was your introduction to Dungeons and Dragons?
Oh, what was my introduction? So I had heard of it for most of my life, but it was always in a very negative way. Just very, that's nerdy, that's not cool, that's, boys sitting together in their basement because they can't get a date playing D&D. Okay, that was my growing up experience. Of course, that being said, I grew up in a family that my mom read me Lord of the Rings before I could even read. I grew up on Star Trek, Star Wars, like all of it. We went to all of the theater openings and so I mean, I was already pretty nerdy myself. So then it was actually when I got engaged, my fiance had been playing for years and years and years, like since he was in high school. And they had even made their own Star Wars version and all this other stuff. So he also was a single dad and wanted good, cheap entertainment and quality time with the kids. And of course, he was living with 3 boys. So he made a simplified version because they were still pretty young. And they would do that because there was almost enough of them by themselves to have a whole party, and they would have one friend come over or something. And so, that's how I got introduced, was playing with what became our kids, because they lived with us. And that was our Saturday night entertainment for the kids. And it was time that we could all spend together and have fun together. And as they grew up and as we played more, they started inviting their friends over, up into high school, and their friends would play with us. And so it was we didn't have to worry about where our kids were on Saturday night out making trouble because they were in our house.
That's beautiful.
Playing D&D. You know what I mean? So, and we got to meet their friends. We knew who they were hanging out with because we got to spend time with them. But it was a table full of guys and me. So that was my introduction, and we've played most Saturday nights since then, even though the kids they all have their own kids now, and they stop in occasionally. Are y'all still playing? Yeah, we're still playing. So
Your story is like very much like mine at the beginning. Not all the very cute, wonderful, wholesome family stuff, but like my early experiences with D&D were like it was for the nerds. It was for like I was a band kid. I was a flute player in the marching band, and so I dated like a trumpet player in the marching band. So it was very much like what the band kids did on the weekend. Like we didn't go to parties in high school. We went to some guy's basement, and the boys played D&D. And if there were girlfriends, we sat off to the side and were like, wow, we're dating nerds. But also, we weren't allowed to play D&D. We weren't invited ever explicitly, you know? It's not that, you know, our boyfriends weren't like kind and good people. It was just they had already had this fully formed game going, and it wasn't something that they were putting the energy into inviting the girls into play because it was for the boys.
They'd have to teach you, and that was just too much trouble.
Yeah, even though much like you, like I was raised on Lord of the Rings and Star Wars. Like those were our childhood movies. And I was deep into nerd culture, but I wasn't allowed to like play in it like boys were. What does that say about like boys and girls? I wonder. I never thought that far into it.
I do think some of that has to do with, you know, girls typically mature faster than boys. So boys are still sitting here playing make-believe.
Yeah.
when we're supposed to already be, you know, reading articles in magazines and worrying about how we look and all that kind of stuff while they're still allowed to sit around and play.
Yeah. Like they were self-proclaimed proud nerds. And even though I was doing all the same things and spending my time in the same way, girls weren't nerds in my high school. Girls were weird. Girls could be weird or awkward or like but not cool, nerds. But we weren't nerds, and we weren't accepted in the nerd spaces either. Like we were still just like a girlfriend of a nerd, and we were weird to both groups and not something to be proud of. I don't know. Yeah, you're making me rethink some of the experiences I had. Like, wow, I considered myself a nerd because I wasn't going to parties. I wasn't a big drinker. I wasn't into doing a lot of the social things that a lot of teenagers do. I was a nerd hanging out in some guy's basement, but no one would have called me a nerd. I was just like weird and had no friends. No friends, as if I didn't have like 1,000 friends. Weird. Melanie, have we talked about your initial experiences?
My foray into Dungeons and Dragons? I don't think so. So I feel like my experience is a little bit different than your guys' experience. I got into nerd culture a little bit later in life. So I had been addicted to World of Warcraft when I was in my early 20s. It was a huge, huge problem. And I had found out that like a friend of a friend from high school played World of Warcraft. And so we all merged together and we were all playing together. And even though I kind of tangentially knew these people, playing this game brought us really close together. We became really fast friends because we were all like terribly addicted to World of Warcraft. And they were the ones to really introduce me to nerd culture and Dungeons and Dragons. And so they were the ones who, you know, invited me to their campaign and taught me about Reddit. All of the things that we enjoy today. I learned more about like Lord of the Rings from them. So yeah, I feel like I came into it very late in life. And they were very inclusive, and it was never through a boyfriend or anything. I think I had found World of Warcraft on my own and just like fell into this desperate hole. And yeah, everybody, like my friends were very inviting and friendly and open to me. So I was very lucky that they were so welcoming.
Were you, like, I have so many questions. Were you, like, into video games before World of Warcraft? Or was World of Warcraft your first foray into anything nerddom?
Yeah. It was the first thing I had ever done. I'm not really sure what drew me to it. I think I was interested in, like, the fantasy element and the idea that it had this huge world to explore, and I really was interested in experiencing that. And it was such an eye-opening experience to see this entire universe and like all these different spaces. Yeah, needless to say, it really sucked me in. It was a huge problem.
That's awesome.
I want to say props to you for that being your first foray into video games, though. 'Cause,
Yeah,
like
badass.
that's what has stopped me, because I want to play World of Warcraft. I mean, I don't have time, so it's probably a good thing that I can't. But like I've always been interested in it because it's basically like D&D, but like on the computer. But I did not grow up with video games.
Mm-hmm.
And I am really bad at them.
Mm.
So like get on there. I tried it like one time I got on there and I could not even figure I had no idea what I was doing. It was terrible. So that is what has kept me from that. So props to you for you figuring it out and like that being your dipping your toe in.
Yeah.
It was really, really hard. I think one good thing I can say about myself is that I do not mind being the worst person on the team. I feel like I'm comfortable just being the person who doesn't know how to do anything and I'm just learning. And I was lucky enough to have friends who are very, very experienced. And so when you have someone who's full of knowledge that they can impart onto you, you learn very, very quickly. So when everyone around you is so advanced and you're just this fumbling idiot, you become pretty good very, very quickly.
That makes so much sense. I had those experiences with D&D when I was young, like where I just watched other people play, other boys play. And then as an adult, my brother had been playing for a long while. My older brother had been playing for a long while, got one of my little sisters into one of his groups. And then he texted me and said, I want to DM a game for the first time, but I want to do it with people who like are gentle and aren't going to be mean.
Right, a safe space.
And are going to, take it easy on me for my first time DMing. Do you want to try D&D? And I was like, yeah, as long as you're going to be a safe space for me to be so new at this. And so I played with, him and my sister and one of our very close family friends and my husband, all of whom had much more experience than I did. And it was the same thing. Like, I was like, I learned through like trial by fire. Like, they were all so good at this thing. I wanted to keep up. I was able to ask a ton of questions because this was set up as a safe, like, family game night type of space. But in a way that my siblings are all nerdy as I am. Like, everybody in this group was as nerdy as I am. So we all, like, were really into it. Like, we all were leaning heavily into the story. We were all leaning heavily into our character relationships. So I got to learn in a really, like, safe, kind space where none of the gender pressures were there because it was 3/5 of the group were my siblings and one of whom was my husband. And it was mostly women.
Yeah.
So I haven't had a situation since high school when I was just watching a group where I've been around only men in a group. So probably makes a difference.
I will say, I think it does make a difference when it's people you know and you love and you trust.
Yeah.
And they're going to treat you a certain way. I think we really experience that prejudice when it's strangers, right? I know, so I haven't had a lot of experience facing stigma as a girl playing Dungeons and Dragons, but there's a lot of that in World of Warcraft because when I wasn't playing with my friends, it is hard to navigate with a bunch of strangers. And I don't know if you know anything about World of Warcraft or how you play, but I played a protection paladin, and so that's the tank. And I feel like most tanks are men, and I feel like it's very, very hard for people to think that you can take on this role as a girl. And I do remember specifically, sometimes I wouldn't say anything. I would just chat with them. And until we get on voice chat and I'm about to pull the first mob, I'll say like, I'm pulling in 3, 2, 1.
And people all go,
that's the first time they hear my voice.
Hot.
No,
But
it's
it
true
was
though.
hard.
There's
Yeah.
a meme. There's a meme that I've seen come up a ton of times, and it just says, if your boyfriend is asking you to play D&D, it's not because he loves you, it's because they need a healer.
Yeah.
Oh my
I feel like all the
God.
girls play healer. Yeah.
Fuck you, man. I'm I'm a fucking
I see
paladin.
that one. I know. I see it all the time. I
Bitches
think
be
that's
smite
why
me.
I play
Mhm.
bigger characters, and I always have. And that's like one of the things I feel like I always have to like prove myself.
Represent a little.
Yeah. Yeah, just like Bula, I feel like is strong and sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
love
about sexy, but she's
Oh no, she's hot as hell. No, there's a reason I give her them titties in every character arc. Because big girls are sexy and no one can tell me otherwise. And I love that in Knights of D20, in Dion Rising specifically, we have the spectrum. We only have, what, 2 female characters? Are you guys the only 2 female characters? Technically.
Yeah.
And yet you cover the spectrum of femme women. We have big, strong, beefy fucking barbarian who is mother. That's mommy.
Yeah.
And we have like dainty, I must keep my shoes clean, I do no damage. But I'm not a healer, god damn it.
Oh, that's true. I never thought about that.
Yeah, no, you're gentle and soft, but neither of you are the healer. So fuck
Yeah,
those
that's
guys.
true.
Women want to smash. That's why we all love She-Hulk so much. Robin, when you... Okay, so you're not good at video games, so we can't talk about, like, RPG video games very much. But in any of your other games, have you ever played... In any tabletop games, have you ever played as a male, as a masculine
character? Because not necessarily in... I was trying to think. I think all of my like D&D characters, whether it be traditional D&D or it be the Star Wars version, are always females. And the reason was because the group that I play with, I'm the only girl. Now, we do, in my current group, we do have another consistent female that now plays with us. She was one of my friends. He got a girlfriend. And you know, so now we have a little bit, but I always played with a group of guys. And so it was like, well, I mean, we could all be guys, but there's no
fun.
There's no fun in that. There's no difference. Like, I want a mixed group. I think that's one of the things I really like about this group is that we have female characters and we have male characters.
Yeah. Just like I like some like more humanoid and some less humanoid. Like I like that we have a Leonin in this group. It's the same thing. Like I'm like, I just like diversity.
Yes. Like I would wait until whenever we started a campaign, I would wait and kind of see what everybody else was going to be. And I would try to keep it diverse in race, you know, class and gender. I was the only one that was going to play a female. So yeah, I do play a lot of females, but like other games that I have, different board games and stuff, I don't mind to play a guy. I have to get my headspace around it sometimes and remember like, oh wait, they wouldn't do that. They're not a female. Like sometimes I have to stop. I have to stop and think about it. Like, but it doesn't bother me. I just have to make sure I'm in the right headspace. And I think some of that may be that I read a lot. And some of my favorite books have male main characters. And I just have to, it's like I have to just switch my brain to that.
I'm like really bad at switching my brain to it. I was thinking about after one of our last Tea Time episodes where we talked about this topic, I was thinking about, okay, wait, that's not true because I played The Witcher. Like I say, I'd never play games where I have to play a male, but I played The Witcher and you play Geralt in that. And it took me a while to get into it, to be honest, especially to feel like emotional attachment. Like with my female characters, I don't want that bitch to die. With Geralt, I was like, let him die. Disposable. I don't know what that says about my relationship with men, but I'm sure it says something. But I did get to the point where I could like empathize with him and like put myself in a male state of mind. But also my favorite parts of that game were where you get to play as the other female characters because there are little parts where you get to play as the other perspective. And those were still my favorite parts. So I was like, I don't know if Witcher really counts because I still also made him very pretty. Like you can do his hair different. You can make him wear fancy clothes. Like I made him as girly as I could.
Like I think if I were to play a D&D character that was a male, I would have to concentrate a lot harder in my role play.
Oh yeah.
It would be so much more effort.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that I would hate it. I think that it would be very interesting. It would be a very interesting experience, but it would be so much effort.
I could not agree more.
So, like, how would you... Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go.
How would you play a male character versus a female character differently?
I mean, that's like asking, like, how is a male and female different? Lots of things. I mean, the way they think about things, the way they process things, decision making, the way they interact with people. And again, I think that now there is a lot less of the gender stereotyping.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm trying to get to. Yeah, exactly.
Now there is more of, well, a person is a person.
Yeah.
But okay. So in my D&D in person game right now, I play a very, very charismatic rogue. She is an arcane trickster, and what she does is she flatters the crap out of everybody so that they don't pay attention when she sticks her hands into their purse. Okay,
I love that.
So she's also dragonborn, so she's a big, scaly lady.
Yeah.
But she uses her feminine wiles a lot, and I feel like that would be the hardest part with me is trying to flirt
as a man,
as a guy.
You guys saw how
right?
bad I am at that.
Oh no, that wasn't bad. That was brilliant.
I thought you were really good.
I pull straight from what I know, and I know that guy who said, "Hey, you know Mage Hand? What you gonna do with it?" Like that's real to me, and I have trouble forming a male in my mind that's more than that. I think my problem is that I can't, like, unpack patriarchy enough to not be jaded. Like, you said, like, yeah, there are many less stereotypes that we're playing with. Like, I'm like, chronically online, so I've been watching all the discourse about the new Ghosts of Tsushima. I don't play those games. They're, like, World War II samurai games, I think, or, like, World War I samurai games. And the new one, like, it's a sequel that people have been waiting for, like, 10, 15 years for or something. I never played the first one.
I heard about this. Yes.
And the main character is a female samurai. She's a woman and a samurai. And she's great and badass. And you wouldn't, like, her being a female doesn't change the gameplay, right? Like, we're at that point. Like, I'm so glad that we're there.
Yeah.
However, like, I've been watching the discourse of the usual, I guess, incels just freaking out because they're like, oh, the woke mafia. Like, I can't just play as, like, a samurai like normal. Like, they have to pretend women were samurais and everything's woke now. And I'm just like, I'm too jaded and be like, yeah, I'm going to play as a female samurai every time just to make you mad. I
feel like you should have a choice because I feel the same way. And this might be spoilers to anybody in the Star Wars fandom. If you don't want to hear it, plug your ears for a minute. They're since Disney has bought Star Wars, it has been very
female forward.
Very, very female forward. And there are good things about that, and there's slight things that irritate me. What irritates me the most, and I understand because they keep saying things like, well, it's a new canon. You can't take like all the thousands of books I've read of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like they just threw out the entire old canon, which I am not going to get on my soapbox about that.
That's a fair argument.
Anyways, but what they've done is that now they're saying that they're going to go back and make I want to say it's a TV series. I don't think it's a movie. I think they're going to make a TV series of the Old Republic. What they've done, though, is they used the old canon characters. So this old character that is in the canon, whose name is Revan, they have cast it as a woman. I'm like, if you're going to do that, make a new character. Don't take a male character and change it. Like, just
for no
make your
reason,
own
except like to be woke, except to like appeal to women. I don't need to be like, I don't need to be catered to.
Pander
Thank
to,
you.
yeah.
Pander to. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
That irritates the fire out of me.
Yeah.
Because I am very
Mhm.
deep-seated in the old canon.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I
Yeah.
grew up on,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Like, if you're going to do that, do what you did with the new trilogy and just make a new character. Don't take one of my characters that I know and love and make it somebody else.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna make it different.
Yeah, it changes the story. We can't unpack patriarchy enough for it not to change how people react to this character.
Right.
Rey was
I
a badass not because she was a badass, but because she was a woman who could do things like Luke. Not because she was just a person who could do cool things. They barely gave her any cool shit. And they just said, she's a woman, so it's cool. No, it's not,
Right?
man.
I mean, Leia, she was a badass.
That was a bad bitch.
I mean,
and she was a princess.
Yeah.
And she could shoot a gun.
Yes.
And that was all she had to do. She said, yeah, you're a rogue and a scoundrel, and I'm hot, and I shoot a gun, and that's it, period.
Like,
And
literally,
if that's not me in space, I don't know what is.
Did they put her in an annoying metal bikini? Sure, but she also strangled a giant alien while in that metal bikini.
With her own
On-
chains.
With her
Yeah.
brute
Her
strength.
slave chains, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Bad bitch.
She was a badass.
Yeah. Yeah. I know there's a fine line between pandering and representation. And I'm all for more representation, but yeah, don't ruin the thing that the people love about the thing. Or just don't change things unnecessarily. Make new stories, for God's sake. Please give us new stories.
Yeah.
I'm so
Or
tired
a
of
choice. In video games, just give them a choice.
Mhm.
If people
Yeah.
are going to be so mad about it, well, don't make it have to be one thing. Give them a choice. You can play as a male or you can play as a female, and each person can be their own happy little selves.
Because we all just want to
you should
self-insert.
have a choice. Yeah, exactly. Because I can understand why someone might be upset that the only option is a female, because I can think from my perspective, I wouldn't want to play if the only option is a boy.
It's a male.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I
Genuinely,
understand.
that's one of the reasons I don't play games, is because I can only play as a male. I'm not interested. I want to be able to play as a female.
Yeah, so of course I can
Choices.
understand. Yeah.
But I'm a big fan of restorative justice as well. So if I have had very few video games that I get to play as a female at all, like, we better start to catch up. Like, all the video games where I never got to play as a girl. Like,
Yeah.
deal with
I
it,
can
boys.
see that
We need to come to an
perspective, too.
even amount of games where you can't choose before we can all just choose. Like, once I have
I
enough
can see,
games that
yeah.
are female only, then we
Yeah.
can talk. There are so few games I could play as a woman. So we just recorded Very Specific Fantasies podcast. So we're all kind of thinking about literature and books. And we kind of started this conversation while we weren't recording. So let's continue it now. Women in maybe we say focus on like fantasy literature, but just literature in general. The Bella Swans of it all.
Yes.
The fucking quote
Not like
unquote
other girls.
average mousy,
Yeah.
let's be honest, white woman and her place in fiction. Question mark.
I think this is I guess it's a trope. This is one of the most annoying tropes to me personally. I very much dislike it when the girl, they try to emphasize how, like you said, mousy and average, and they want to say like, oh, she's there's nothing like really physically appealing about her. But then for almost no apparent reason, there's just all these really hot guys who just met her and they really need her.
Is it because, and I'm sure it goes deeper and I'm sure we'll get there, but is it because people think that men want a girl who doesn't like herself? Like, is it sexy for a woman to think that she's not very pretty? Because, like, it is, right? Like, I've met so many guys in real life who are like, oh, I love that you're so down to earth. I love that you're, like, not, like, full of yourself. Like, what would you rate yourself? I'm so glad you wouldn't rate yourself a 10, because neither would I. Right?
It's
a very
that?
different experience.
Yeah, tell us. Oh, Robin, bring your perspective. Bring it in here.
Hit me.
I've heard that not quite as much. I always hear like, well, you should be more confident. You'd be so much prettier if you were more confident.
Yeah.
Like,
Smile more, honey.
Mm.
yeah. Like, what, well, yeah, just heard that a lot. So, eh, yes, it irritates me when an author feels like they have to downplay their
Yeah.
female character. Why can't you just tell me what she looks like? Why do you have to tell
Yeah.
me she's average or people don't think or if the character herself, if she says, I don't feel like I'm very good looking. I
Mhm.
understand that.
That's different
Mm-hmm.
Boy, do I
than
understand
putting
that.
a value judgment on
But
her
if,
appearance.
yes, but if an omniscient author,
Mhm.
so your narrator's voice tells you that you're supposed to think of your female main character as average or not good looking. Don't tell me what to think. You tell me what she looks like and I'll decide how I feel about her.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all very much have a different standard of beauty. In
Right?
reality, we're not all following the prescribed system of beauty. And I
Right.
definitely don't think every very skinny, brown-eyed brunette is mousy or average. They are also not my type, so I don't know why you're trying to get me to feel either way about it, because just describe them. And like, we just read a book where the woman is supposed to be like super curvy, like big old titties, big old ass, tiny little waist. Like, she's supposed to be like a bigger girl in all these. This author is like not famous, but one of her calling card is big women, like big curvy women with like 7-8 pack ab dudes. And like, yeah, okay, I'm glad that we're getting like body representation. However, this character is still like, yeah, men don't like me, but also they throw themselves
Yes.
at me.
Yes.
What do you want me to feel here? You want me to feel like this is me, like that I should feel okay about being curvy, but yet I should still talk to myself like I'm not attractive? I don't understand. I can't. It takes me right out of it. I'm like, either people are attracted to me and I know it, or people aren't attracted to me and I still know it. Because as a real woman in the real world, you know when someone's attracted to you or not. And you're not delusional and telling yourself, like, yeah, men don't like me because my titties are too big. Come on. Come on.
And it's okay. All you say to yourself is, I'm not their type. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, because everybody has a different type. And I certainly do.
Not going to be everybody's cup of tea.
Yeah, but all
And
the men
that's
in these
just-
books, and God, we could talk about fucking the male beauty standard, because all the men in these books have 8-pack abs and are huge,
They're
muscly.
all the same.
They're all 8
Yeah.
feet tall and sexy and they're either dark shadow daddy or they're blonde haired snow boy. I don't know. Like, why do we not do both if we are so forward thinking about body representation? Why can't I have a big dad bod man if I have a big mother bod woman?
Mhm.
Sad.
I do feel
It's true.
like I feel conflicted about the idea of, having different standards of beauty and having different preferences, and also like the size inclusivity that we're seeing. I feel like as on social media, it feels like we are all moving towards one face that's beautiful. I think I look at movies and televisions now and like actresses now, I feel like their faces are more and more similar, and there's one way to have there's one face that is the hot face, right?
Mhm.
But I feel like 10, 15 years ago, you could be hot in different ways, right? There's different types of beauty, and there's more diversity in what features are attractive. And I felt like it was more just, like facial harmony, right?
Yeah.
Versus, now it's like high cheekbones. There's like buccal fat removal. You have very sucked in, pouty lips. I'm not sure. I feel like we're all moving towards the same face. Yeah.
That's because 15 years ago, it wasn't as easy to change your face.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
Yeah. Between not just cosmetic
Now-
surgery, but also just filters on
Yes.
your phone. I can literally
Yes.
change how my face looks in
Yeah.
real time as I'm recording like a live video.
Yep.
if I wanted
Yeah.
to. So yeah, of course it is. And the filters change your face to one specific face. You can't like adjust.
Yeah.
Like maybe I want a more of a baby face, but no, that's not a thing that exists. Maybe I want bigger, rounder eyes instead of more snatched, like cat-like eyes.
Yeah.
And I do. Like, those are the things I'd actually want a face filter to do for me, but that's not an option. So if we're going to be prettier, we have to use this one, literally prescribed filter, making our faces thin and sucked in and yet childish. Ew. Yeah.
15 years ago, it was not as easy to change the way that you look, whether it be
think that's
just
true.
like permanent or just for a picture or video.
Yeah.
And so now that is condensing into, well, we can all look like this if we just try a little bit.
Yeah. And authors like the one we just read are supposed to give us, they're trying to give us a different version of beautiful, but it's still reading like such a male gaze. I don't know. There's thick eyes and big titties.
I'll be honest.
Great on some people.
I did not 100% even get that. Like, she said it a couple times that she wasn't his like body standard. I did not fully understand that she was a bigger girl, honestly.
Me too.
I was skimming this book real quick. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I think I missed a couple details.
I'm basing this a lot. She mentions it like very briefly a couple times in the books we just read, but in this author's other books, it's like it's not really a big plot point, but people call her fat outright in the other book series. And she's supposed to have the same kind of body type, or she's described the same way as the girl in the book we just read.
Okay.
And in that book, it was more like, yeah, some women are, and specifically it's only women who are calling her fat. God, we could talk forever about how women are actually the ones enforcing these standards, right? Because we all know that men are pretty loud about, like, if they like a bigger bodied woman, they're very loud about that they like a big bodied woman. And that's why BBLs are a thing. But it's actually women putting this upon ourselves. I could say I'm a misandrist all day, but I'm also aware that women are ingrained in this pattern of thinking to the point where we police ourselves. We are our own panopticon.
Yes, it's the panopticon again. We become both the prisoner and the jailer.
Yeah, women have done that to ourselves.
Monitor each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I've had very few men tell me I'm too fat. I've had a lot of women tell me I need to lose weight. For men
Same.
to like me.
Same.
Which is bonkers ridiculous. Because now I'm trying to sleep with women. I was, when I was single, trying to sleep with women. But none of the women who called me fat were calling me fat because it would make me more attractive to them. They were trying to tell me how I can be more attractive to men who were so decentered for most of my life. Wild. Wild the way we police ourselves. Even in literature, where a woman who is supposed to be so attractive to like a sex god, a literal sex god, thinks that she's unattractive.
I think part of it is there's something attractive about a woman who's really, really hot. Like you said, like this sex god is attracted to this woman, right? There's a woman who's hot, but she thinks that she's ugly. And I think you get the duality of there's a woman who is insecure and she's weak and she'll do what you want her to do because she's insecure, right? But you also get the really, really hot, beautiful woman.
Yeah, it's just modesty culture, is it not? Like, hide yourself so that you feel like you get to unwrap yourself for me. Like, hide yourself from all over men so that you feel really special when I tell you that you're beautiful.
Yeah.
Keep your body count low because no one should want you but your long-term husband partner.
Yeah, and he's the only one to make you feel beautiful.
To appreciate you.
Yeah, exactly. And you can only get it from this person. Yeah.
Wild and sad. But at the same time, I also never choose a bigger body woman to play as in Dungeons and Dragons or in video games. Like if I have a choice, like in Baldur's Gate, you can be two different body types. You can be tall and a little bit thicker. They're still thin. Don't get me wrong. They're slim thick. Or you can be short and thin. And those are the only two body types, and I will still always pick the short, thin woman. And that's because I have never been a thin woman. Maybe. Is that the only reason? I'm sure not. Maybe I just think that that's the sexier version of a woman. So it is ingrained in me. As much as I can say, like, women do this to ourselves, I know I do this to myself more than any man does.
I feel like, we were talking about before about body inclusivity, right? I feel like maybe about 5 to 10 years ago, we started to appreciate different body sizes and also started to understand that your body size is not always within your control. And I think that was blossoming for a while, but I feel like recently we've taken a turn backwards.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that? Where
diet culture has re-upped.
Yeah, Kim Kardashian doesn't have her
got rid of her BBL,
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's very, very thin. I feel like maybe Ozempic is part of this. And I think it's making people feel like, I feel like the more the narrative is that you can control your body size, the more stigma there is when you're not thin and you're not that size, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And see, I think that it should be more centered around, are you healthy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean,
ideal, right?
Right. So my weight over the years has fluctuated. I mean, within like 60 pounds. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So much weight loss, so much weight gain just over the years, different reasons. At one point, I was at was my highest in my life, but I could run 4 miles nonstop without stopping and felt great, loved it, did it all the time. I started losing weight. I lost 50 pounds and I could barely run 2 miles.
Mm-hmm.
Which is better, to have a little extra heft and be healthy, or to be skinny and felt weak?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to just say my weights, goddamn. I was 115 pounds in my junior year of college. I had gone from 150 to 116 because I was pre-diabetic when I was 19. So I dropped all carbs. I went into this crazy, it was like a crash diet, but it was supposed to be, quote unquote, the healthiest thing for me to avoid pre-diabetes and diabetes. So I dropped all that fat, ate no carbs for many years, smoked a bunch of cigarettes, drank alcohol all the time, like was surviving, not thriving by any means. And I have never been that unhealthy. I've never been that like mentally unwell. And yet I look back at pictures of me and I'm like, that is when people treated me the best. That is when people were the kindest to me. That is when men gave me the most attention because I was rail thin. My bones were showing. And I'm only 5 feet tall. So those weight gains, those weight fluctuations show on me big time. And then since then, I've gotten up to, I'm now hovering around 160. That's still the same height. And I just got my A1C checked. Like, my diabetes hasn't returned. Like, my pre-diabetes hasn't returned. I am still as healthy, if not healthier, because I'm not smoking cigarettes anymore. Everything is under control. I've avoided COVID and all the things. And I can handle it when I get sick. I used to not be able to handle it at all when I got sick. There were many times when I was hospitalized just from pneumonia because I was so thin and unwell and my body had no nutrients and none of the things it needed. And yeah, I'm the same way now. I rock climb now. I do all kinds of things, even at the quote unquote, fattiest, biggest I've ever been in my life. And I like my body a shit ton. I think I have the reverse of body dysmorphia. I look in the mirror and I think I'm really, really good looking all the time. Even if I step on the scale and it tells a very different story. Even if I see a lot of photos of myself and it's kind of a shock where I see my very fat arms or my belly. And I'm like, oh, I'm chubby. That's okay though, because I don't see that when I look in the mirror. If I can avoid photos of myself, I'm good to go. I don't know. I have a lot of trouble believing the thin stereotype because I like my body now more than I ever have. I'm in my 30s. I'm feeling better and doing more fun things. And my husband loves me and my friends love me. And I think so little about my body size. I'm doing the naked bike ride every year. And that makes me not think about my body or anybody else's body for months. It changes my life.
Wait. I'm sorry. Time out. You do it. What is this?
You heard me. Okay.
I need some explanation.
It travels from city to city. So I do the one in my local city. It's called the Naked Bike Ride. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's 1,000 people who get together from the area and ride bikes naked through the city. It's like a 12-mile bike ride. And you can be you can be any level of naked. I learned the first year not to do it naked because, oh my God, the chafing.
No.
The bruising and the chafing was rough. I learned after that year. My first year, I made the mistake of wearing like fishnet tights with rhinestones.
Oh my gosh.
On a 12-mile bike ride, no fucking thank you. It hurt.
Oh my gosh, girl.
However, since then, I learned to at least wear bicycle shorts. And I usually, we dress in costumes, me and my friends. Like, last year we were all Mario characters. So I wore, like, mushroom pasties and a big mushroom hat over my helmet. And, like, a little, like, bike shorts under a skirt situation. So I'm never really naked, but it's more naked than I've ever been in public. And people ride full nude. Lots of people and lots of different body types. And it's specifically, like, people will scream at you if you're a weirdo creep at this thing. It's very much about body positivity and aging, and it's like what you hear like nudism communities are good for. It's that, but just in a day. We have a street fair before and after, and people just hang out naked. And after doing that for months afterwards, I don't think about my body at all. I don't think about what people think of me. I don't think about what I think about myself. I don't think about how clothes fit me. I just wear what's comfortable. It's so good for my mental health to be around so many naked bodies. I love it. I love it a lot. It's really, I don't know. I started doing it 4 years ago. I've done it every year since. And it's every summer. It's just like the highlight of my year because something about after the first hour of being around all these naked people, old men, old women, young women, people being kind to you and talking to you and looking you in the eyes instead of at your very exposed breasts. Like, I find more respect in that crowd than I do going out in a turtleneck in the middle of winter, right? Like at a normal bar, because this is a space that is purposefully very safe and body neutral. Not even body positive, just body neutral. We're not looking at each other's bodies. There's always a creep or two trying to take pictures, and they get screamed at and punched. So it's really lovely. And it always wears off eventually. I always end up at a bar where someone says something to my breasts instead of my face. That undoes it all. Oh,
but girl, that's my life.
Right? I'm not even well endowed, and people still do that.
I don't know. I do want it to be said that there is, as much as there is nothing wrong with being bigger, there is absolutely nothing wrong with being smaller.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't have to be, like, for me, that's very difficult for me. Mm-hmm. For a lot of reasons. There's a lot of things in my body that, and it's not that I don't like to exercise. Girl, I did gymnastics for years. I've done dance for years. Like, working out used to be my favorite hobby. But at this season in my life, I have all of my workout time is now study time.
Yeah.
Like, I've got to get through school. Like, I don't have time to work out right now. But there are good things about when I feel when I'm smaller. There's things that I like about that. And there's things that I like about when I'm bigger. But there is nothing wrong, because I've got friends that are really thin and they're very slight, and they have as much problem accepting their self as I do at my bigger size, because they want to say things like, well, I don't have a chest, or I don't have a butt, or I'm too skinny for this, or I can't fill this out. I think there's a lot of people right now that are very body positive about bigger women, and there's not as many people who are body positive about smaller women, because when they say something about it, like, I want to be body positive about my body type, people are like, well, you're skinny. What do you have to say about anything? Which I also feel like is not fair. I just feel like it needs to be said that, like, yeah, we're talking about us being a little bit thicker, but, like, it's not easy for any of us.
And also clothing too, I feel like.
Oh my gosh, girl, clothing. So yes, there is plus size clothing, and that is the size that parts of me need. But they also believe that if you are plus size, you must be 10 feet tall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you know why that is?
Right.
Yes. Do you know why that is?
No.
It's because, so when you're creating different sizes of clothing, it starts off first with a sample size. I think a sample size is typically maybe a size 6 or a size 8. And how you make the other sizes is you take this size 6 or size 8, and let's say you're going downwards and upwards. You just take this and you scale it upwards and downwards.
You multiply
right?
it or divide it both by height and by width.
Exactly. And that's why
Terrible.
Yes. So that's why when you move to the larger sizes, things become disproportionate, right? Because it becomes too long, like you just mentioned.
Yeah.
So what a lot of designers do not invest in is making a second sample size, right?
Or even a third.
And so that's
like men's clothes.
Exactly.
They have short and tall sizes, and they measure by waist and by height. And it makes me so mad because it is just based on profits. It's based on profits because they think men wouldn't pay what women will pay for clothes that they then have to pay again to adjust. Like, men are supposed to be frivolous and so, or not frivolous, spendthrifty. Like, they're not going to spend all this money on clothes. They're not thinking about fashion. And so they haven't been trained to spend all this money on clothes based on size. Like, men aren't going to buy a pair of jeans that doesn't fit them. Women have no choice but to buy clothes that don't fit them. Like, I have to buy large, size pants that I then have to pay again to have hemmed, or I have to have the skills and the materials to hem it myself.
Yes. And see, it goes both ways because I'm 5'2", and I am hefty. One of my closest friends is 6 foot tall.
And thin.
Oh my gosh,
and very thin.
And can't find
we
clothes
look ridiculous. We look ridiculous together, but we've been friends for 15 years. But we sit and complain, and it's funny because we'll wear the same size in some stuff. She stretches them this way, and I stretch them sideways, But she constantly complains that everything is too short, and I constantly complain that everything is way too long.
Yeah. I'm constantly giving clothes to my friend who is maybe 5'8". I'm 5'1". She's 5'8". She is the body standard. She's curvy, but not fatty anywhere. Literally, the body Kardashians have been paying monies for. She doesn't even have a big butt. She has a small, she's proportional in accordance to what clothes are supposed to fit. So I'll buy a pair of size, I think I just gave her a couple pairs of size 6 or size 8, mom jeans from way back when mom jeans first became the thing. And they fit her like a glove now. And I'm those haven't fit my waist in 4 years, and they fit her perfectly, but they are short. They're almost like capris on her. Whereas on me, they were full length jeans.
Oh my gosh. Yes. My sister used to always tell me, if you want capris, you better buy shorts. If you want pants, you better buy capris. I'm like, thank you. She's also very short, but she's very slender. She's a lot more proportional than me.
Yeah.
So at her waist size, the pants fit.
Yeah.
At my waist size, they do not.
That's how my sisters are. My younger sisters are both my height, but thin, athletic bodies. So their clothes are sample size. They are the body that clothing is made for. And it sucks because it's just women's clothing that is like this. I wish, I steal my husband's hand-me-down jeans, and they are my favorite jeans because I know exactly the height and waist.
Men's sweatpants are, to wear around the house, one of my favorite things.
Yep.
And I like men's t-shirts, number one, because they fit better and they look better and they're more flattering because they don't suck in on the sides, but they're still fitted. But number two, because they have way cooler stuff on them.
Yeah.
All of the things that I am interested, all the things that I'm interested in are in the men's section.
Yeah.
So I want Transformers or Star Wars or dinosaurs or
all my t-shirts are from the men's section of Walmart.
Bands. Yes. Me too.
Yep.
That's where all the good stuff is.
Yeah. Oh, so frustrating. But men don't have the privilege of, at least some of the time, wearing corsets in public. My husband had to ask me after he listened to one of the last episodes of this podcast. He was like, you kept saying this word, chasses. I was like, stays?
Oh, a chemise?
Chemise. That's what he was probably trying to figure out. I kept saying you wear a chemise. Yeah, okay. He had no, I thought he was asking me like what stays are, so I described to him the difference between corset and stays. I forgot that we talked about chemise underneath.
Chemise. I guarantee that's the word he was having trouble
You're exactly right. I'm going to go correct him after.
That's not a time relative term anymore.
Yeah. He would know if I said like, tank top.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, see, so here's this whole thing with y'all were talking about corsets and stuff last week, and I don't want to beat a dead horse or bring it up for another long conversation, but it is a whole different game when you have to buy medieval catapults to hold up your top. Because even corsets, even with boning, sometimes it is not you do not know the feeling of what it feels like for your top to be heavy enough to break boning in a corset.
Yeah, I genuinely cannot relate there. And I feel for you. I feel for you deeply. The uncomfortableness, is that the word, of being a big-breasted woman and not having any garments that are made for that. Good gods. You're a brave soul.
It is a lot. And if you find them, you better be ready to sell your farm in order to afford them. It's not my fault. I did not make these. I did not want these. I actively try to get rid of them. But here they are. This is where they grew. And yet I have to pay 3 times the amount of what you guys have to pay to keep them where society says that they should be.
Yeah, I don't even wear bras.
Yeah, I can't do that.
That sucks so bad. I'm so sorry.
That's not an option.
It's so shitty. If society says we have to control the natural parts of our bodies to the point where we have to pay that much money, that's fucked up. That's mad fucked up. And that only some women have to do it. And even though that's what people want, right? People want tig old bitties. And yet we have to pay out the ass to hold them where society wants. Make sure the nipples aren't showing. Make sure they're not.
Well, and I will tell you this too. It is partly society and partly that it is painful.
It is painful. It hurts. Yeah. You should just have a medically available back support, to be honest. I
need a sling someday.
Yeah. And that should be paid for by insurance.
Oh my gosh. I will tell you that I did actually look into getting a reduction.
Yeah.
Even with notes from my chiropractor, who is a personal friend of mine, so it wasn't that awkward because he's actually one of my game players.
Nice.
I play D&D and stuff with him. So he told me that he would write me a letter, and from my physician who is a woman, even with those letters of recommendation to have them reduced, they said you can submit that, but you also have to submit pictures that a board of our people at the insurance company have to look over and tell you if they think that it is warranted. And then you have to reduce to the size that they tell you have to reduce to.
Really?
I said, I am not sending booby pictures to random people. Thank you. I'm out. I'll carry them.
Oh, wow. I had no idea.
Yeah. It is, how humiliating.
Oh, my God.
How fucking unmedical. That's not medical practice. What the fuck, man? I'm actually angry.
There's some perv at this office just looking up.
Of course there is. You think there's not a perv in every single medical office? Come on. It's all perv.
And he's he gets to control the size of your boobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they said they wanted to reduce it till it was nothing. And I'm like, but that won't fit my body size. That won't fit my body type.
You just want to go from an E to a C. Yeah, I just want it to not fuck my back up every day, man.
Right? Yeah. And I want to be able to afford bras.
Yeah. Gods.
I'm not going to... I will say, I'm not going to say that I hate them. They have come in handy for things. You know, at work, I put kittens on them all the time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know? Oh, I should probably say I'm a vet tech. But, you know, sometimes I balance kittens up there while I do something with my hands. But.
Mm-mm. That's fucked up, man.
Yeah. Right?
When I was in high school, before I lost the weight the first time, I was a D cup. And that fucked up my back for a while. And then when I lost the weight, I lost it mainly from my boobs. Never gained it back in my boobs, so that's sad. But I'm not jealous at all. I never am upset that I can get away with not wearing a bra. Because bras are a racket. They're useless.
Torture devices.
Victoria's Secret, I curse you until the day I die. I say that while I'm wearing a Victoria's Secret nightgown from 1987.
Oh, girl, Victoria's Secret says that they cover every body type.
Lies.
You'd have to be, I'm too big for their biggest size.
Lies.
And the woman was like, "You're not measuring right." I was like, "Do you have something bigger than this?" And she was like, "No." And I was like, "It doesn't fit."
Yeah. Ooh, that's so frustrating. Good grief. I'm too mad. I can't get past it. You should be able to get a breast reduction to the point where you want. Ooh.
Yeah, I'm very surprised about this.
Well, you can. You can pay.
You could do all these things. Yeah.
Out of pocket.
You can pay thousands and thousands of dollars out of pocket to a private plastic surgeon and get your boobs to look whatever you want them to look like.
Yeah, but I'm talking about insurance coverage.
No.
Yeah, that's really weird.
You have to prove that it is bad for you. And then apparently you have to let them look at your babies and decide if they think it's bad for you.
And
that's crazy.
That's just going to be like, "Oh no, she looks great. Love her titties. Keep them."
Right.
It's what is it? The father stitch. What is it? Where they put the extra stitch in after you give birth?
Is it called the daddy stitch?
The daddy stitch or something along those lines. So that you're not looser after.
Stop. That's a thing.
Oh my God, you haven't heard of this?
Listen, I don't know nothing about birth and no babies. All of my children are adopted.
Same. Today, someone was talking at work about their childbirth experience, and I was like, nothing sounds scarier to me than that. Like, I'm gonna have nightmares tonight.
Oh my gosh, I know.
But there's a thing where it's a husband stitch. And supposedly, while the woman was still drugged up and asleep or whatever and getting stitched back up after a tearing birth, that the husband would be like, "Hey, throw an extra stitch on there so that it stays tight." That's fucked up. That's what this reads to me. It's like a husband stitch. I'm not going to take those boobs away because maybe someday a man will like them. Ugh. Gross.
They do, and sometimes it annoys me. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a very strange level of control that someone else has over your body that feels very dystopian.
Yep, it sure does. Welcome to insurance. I feel like
that's all dystopian.
That's just what insurance is.
Yeah, I have a very close friend who is a trans man, and he has been working his ass off to get relatively affordable top surgery. And watching his process has been nightmarish as a friend. I can't imagine how he's managed to keep a positive attitude. Anyway, this was supposed to be about D&D, but now I'm crying.
It is about D&D.
Yeah. We're women who play D&D, therefore it's about D&D. Right? Suck it, men. Right. It's not all about stats. It's about bra sizes now. Do you think if we lived in the world of D&D, do you think if we lived on Dion that there would be armor fitted for big-breasted women?
I would say yes, because I don't believe that mass manufacturing is available yet. So everything is custom made. Right?
Yeah. Not only that, but there are, in the world of Dion, there are orcs, There are, slender elves.
There's
there
Aarakocra women. There's gnomes.
Dragonborn girls.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we're just humans, and so we all have to try to fit the same box. But they have, again, this is one of the reasons why I love D&D.
Diversity.
There is so many options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many things that you can be in so many different ways you can look.
Yeah. Oh, what a dream. I love D&D for that. I love that it's not even a question. I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, even when Zada had to, like, figure out how to buy a loincloth, it took some time. It was a whole montage.
That would be a lion cloth.
Lion cloth, yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Lion cloth.
Thank you, John Paul.
He comes up with all the silliest stuff. He's such a writer.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I need a novel from John Paul. I need him to write our next romantasy. When he suggests one,
but I'd also be like slightly terrified to read it. I'm never going to be able to read anything after this.
Yes.
So
it'll ruin everything for you.
The whole campaign has to end. I was dying at his reaction to Cool Guard. I was like, this is just going to be a silly thing. And
so disgusted.
I couldn't help but, like, antagonize him later, champ.
That was absolute brilliance. Because what is the cringiest thing that, like, a stepdad can say to, like...
After, like, hitting on your mom in front of you.
Yes. Later, champ. There is no cringier, like...
And again, I work from reality as a DM. I just put people I know in as characters. And I've known this guy 10 times over. I've known Cool Guard. So I thought, who would be flirting with hot Princess Seraphina? Cool Guard.
Okay, but I will say, I also loved Seraphina just like eating it up.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, I'm beautiful. I don't care if this guy is intelligent or not. He thinks I'm beautiful and he's right. Like, she's so confident.
She's into it.
Yeah.
She's just so confident. She like oozes like regal, everyone loves me.
Yeah.
Like,
So unsurprised.
I wish I had the confidence of Seraphina.
He said, like, he essentially was like, where are you sleeping tonight? And you were like, I'm going to go get my hair done.
Yes, you're like, self-care is more important, but like, thank you for the tip.
So good.
So good. It was so good.
I could not. I'm getting worse and worse at keeping a straight face in these conversations. I need to work on my stoicism because, oh God, I was crying laughing between Seraphina and Ados. And then Bobby being like, oh, he's so he loves her. Isn't she so happy?
Just like little naive optimism.
So cute. So cute. And yet it was a fantasy world. So when you said, yeah, I'm going to go get my hair done, he said, bet, see you later, hottie, and left. That's what I want. I want a man who shuts the fuck up.
Oh, thank you for respecting my
no
autonomy.
for no.
Yeah.
Right?
He took no as that's fine. I'm still interested, though. Talk to you later,
That's how
hottie.
we know it's fantasy.
Send me a postcard and let me know when you're back in town with that mage hand, honey. That's what we want. He can be as douchey as he wants as long as he hears no thank you and says thank you for that no.
That was pretty hot.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm only here to flirt with my friends. I'm going to throw some like really insufferable woman at JP. I just don't know how to play an insufferable woman yet. I love women too much.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
Right.
Dang it, I hope he doesn't listen to this. I don't want to be prepared.
Get out of here, JP. This isn't for you.
Earmuffs.
This episode is for everyone except JP.
I'll put that in the description. JP, get out of here.
You're not allowed to listen.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man, I love romance in D&D games. I love it. Mostly I love flirting with my friends because it's so funny watching people watch me flirt.
No, it's fun flirting with you. I like it.
It's fun, right?
We should have more.
I agree.
I like it.
I agree. You guys are now on a boat. You think there's not going to be flirting?
One of my favorite things to do is, especially because in our in-person group, we have 3 or 4 of us that are actually DMs.
Mm-hmm.
So we rotate so that somebody's not
Yeah.
doing it all the time and isn't responsible for it all the time.
So jealous.
So we run these campaigns, or if somebody gets really busy, they're like, I've got to stop my campaign. Can somebody take over with theirs? So we switch out. So the DM that we have right now is one of my friends that's newer to DMing. And I told you that my character is a very charismatic,
Mm-hmm.
very, very friendly Dragonborn. And flirting with him, with his NPCs that are both male and female, and watching him turn bright red and get flustered is my favorite thing.
Oh my gosh, that's so adorable.
I have high charisma in real life.
Yeah, truth.
Yes.
Don't.
So I'm like very flirty in real life. That's like how I get what I want out of people. So flirting in D&D is fairly easy for me. However, in all my home games, I play with my siblings.
Oh gosh.
So I do not flirt.
Wow. Yeah, that causes a problem.
It sure does. There's not a lot of romance in my home games. No matter how much that is the most like easy part of improv for me, because I can. I
understand that because when I started playing, it was me and my kids and their school-aged friends.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh.
So it wasn't that. And at that point, I don't think I was as good at it.
Yeah.
Then. But now it's like all of my friends, all of my aged friends and our mutual friends. And now that the kids don't play with us anymore, a lot of times we drink while we play. And so it's more of an adult game. I mean, it's by no means like X-rated or anything.
Yeah.
But we do flirt with NPCs. Like we've tried to seduce the dragon instead of kill it. We've tried to, that kind of stuff. Like kind of what we do here. Like I'm going to seduce that guard instead of just try to, slit his throat.
Yeah.
It's a healthy mix of both, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I'm the opposite of Kara. I feel like I have very low charisma. I'm very awkward, and
that's wild because I'm in love with you.
Oh, thank you. So I feel like it's a growth point for me to try to personify Serafina, who I perceive as someone who has very high charisma. So I think it's definitely been a challenge, and it's been interesting to try to embody that and try to see what that even looks like. And yeah, it's been really fun.
I mean, you've made it work so far.
A good job. Yeah, you've done a good job with the Cool Guard and then with that shopkeeper in the rope store.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You were very charming with that man.
And with Papillion.
Thank you.
And with Papillion.
You just give a little smile back your eyes. Papillion was a little under the influence, but you were still very charming.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm very charismatic actually in person. So for me, that's one thing that D&D can do is like I do those things in D&D because it's my character. It's not me.
Yeah. Yeah.
In real life, like I have a job where I work with people. And I can smile and make people feel comfortable. And, I'm dealing with a lot of people who are stressed and are in a very stressful time. And I can kind of walk them through that. But as far as like being charismatic, no, I mean, like, I'm a very awkward human being. And I feel like it's getting worse.
That's crazy because I'm in love with you.
The older I get.
I feel like you just say that to everyone.
I do. That's my charisma.
She loves everyone.
I do. No, I don't. I hate all men.
The older I get, I feel like the less my filter works. And so my weird awkward brain is coming out more, and I'm not being able to mask it as much. Like, people will say things like in a funny way, and my brain goes, I want to say it like that. I had somebody come in the other day and they were like, I don't know, he just had like some ticks and it was gross. And my brain was like, oh, that sounded weird. I want to try. So I was like, ticks, and it was gross. So it sounds like I'm mocking them, right? It's terrible. It's this horrible
It's
thing.
really like echolalia. You're just like, I love how that sounds. And now it's stuck in my head.
Yes.
Like a song.
My brain is,
yes,
my brain's just like, I want to try that. But it sounds like I'm mocking them. And used to, I could control it better. And now it just happens. And I'm like.
Me too. I always accidentally mock other people's accents, especially. I'm just like, it's not good.
I'm just so awkward.
But really, I love it. I just wish my tongue could do whatever your tongue just did.
Right? I'm like, oh, that sounded different.
Yeah. I have like, I'll be like thinking of the NPC that's coming up in Dion Rising. And I have a voice for them in my head. I can hear their accent. But when it comes to actually playing them, it always goes away. Coolguard was supposed to have an accent. He doesn't. He's just a Midwestern guy. He was supposed to be, I don't remember. He was supposed to be like Australian.
That's one of my favorite parts of DMing is doing all the voices.
Yeah, I
kind of
voices.
With Bula, I kind of panicked, and so she just has an exaggeration of my voice and like my very southern grew up all over the South. But like, I love voices.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could do voices.
The voice I can do is Southern because I'm from Southern, the state I'm from. I'm not going to dox myself right now. But it's close to the South, but not technically the South. It's Midwestern. But I'm better at the Southern voice than I am at the Midwestern voice, eh? Oh, you're going to go to Minnesota.
Oh my gosh, me and my sister's favorite thing to do is to talk in Minnesota voices. She bought a new house in a subdivision, and like she lives in the state where I'm from, so I don't get to actually visit her all that often. So it was the first time I was going to her new house, and it was in this like crazy subdivision. I'm terrible with directions. And so I called her on the phone and I was like, all right, how do I get there? So she's like, okay, go until you see this and turn. Well, then you have a minute before the turn. So me and her started talking, and I'm like, oh, I just gotta wait till I get to that turn.
Oh, that was so
when I get there, I'll just turn left. And she's like, no, you gotta turn right, not left. So I get there, turning like,
that's brilliant.
Gosh, I turned next to that tree there, and it had just the most prettiest flowers on it. So now I don't know where I need to go.
How are you so much better than me at that, and yet I'm the one who's around those people? That's crazy.
She talked me through her entire neighborhood like that.
God.
Oh, that's so impressive. That was so good.
We do that crap all the time. I was like, oh, I think I see your house from here. I'm pulling into your driveway. It's fine. I think I'm going to hamper the phone.
That's impressive. I have all the accents in my head. They don't come out of my mouth correctly. I worked at a school that was multilingual. We had a Spanish program, a French program, and a Chinese program. And I worked my ass off to learn any one of those three languages. I learned a little tiny bit of each. But the only accent I can do is French. I can't roll my R's. I can't pronounce half of the Spanish words correctly. Chinese, I was able to, I guess I'm able to do the Chinese accent okay, but not really. That's a very hard language to learn. But French, I didn't pick it up any easier than Spanish because I actually took Spanish in high school. I actually understand more Spanish, but I can't speak it at all. I just sound like a Southern person, like, hola. I sound like the guy in Inglourious Bastards trying to speak Italian.
God, yeah.
That's me. People would be like, wow, you are American. All my friends were like, never speak Spanish again. But then French, I have a very nasal voice, so French just comes naturally.
perfect for you.
I just don't know the
I
words.
could literally sit and listen to somebody speak in a whole different language for like hours. I have no idea what they're saying, but like just I feel like English is the way that Americans speak it is very harsh and choppy.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like every other language is just like, I'm sorry, can you just talk? I don't care what you say. I can't understand it. I just want to listen to it. It's beautiful.
I think that's true. I do think a lot of the other languages, like we always think about like French or Spanish as being very, very beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel like for English, maybe it's because I am an English speaker and I do recognize that it has this disadvantage. I feel like it makes me want to find like beautiful poetry and literature in English even more, to find like the height of the English language. I feel like have you guys heard of John Milton, like Paradise Lost?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like his life's work, right? I feel like his goal for writing that work is, he saw like all these different other languages had these beautiful, great works of poetry and literature, and this was his attempt to heighten the English language to that level. And so I feel like I want to appreciate the English language.
I will say though that the English language is such a melting pot. Not Old English that was its own thing, but what America has made it is such a melting pot between Old English and everything else that's come into it, that some of our most beautiful words are not English.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't really have original
Yeah.
English
And
words, except for
and a
what
lot
you
of
would
people
consider like
don't
Celtic.
and a lot of people don't even realize that. They're like, oh, this sounds pretty. I'm like, that one is German. That one's actually French origin. That one has so it's like we take them and we make them beautiful in our own way, but they're still not even ours.
I love that though. I think that's beautiful because I feel like it represents America, and I feel like it's a country of immigrants, and I feel like that kind of represents that.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Shoot, girls. We've been on here for an hour and 33 minutes. We still don't know how to end something appropriately.
I don't know how to end a conversation. I'm going to be on that.
No. I know we could stay on here and talk for another 3 hours.
Yeah.
But this feels like the appropriate time.
I agree. It does feel like the appropriate time. What about you, Robin? What do you think?
I mean, I feel like a lull in the conversation is a good place to say finger
guns.
Yeah.
Verbal finger guns. Pew, pew, pew.
Because that's how you end a conversation.
Yes, while backing away. Out the door. Let's do the Dutch exit of podcasts and just cut it right here. Well, thank you, Robin. I hope that you had a little bit of fun.
Oh, always, yes.
Good. I love us. I don't hate all men. I love my husband, I love my brother and my father, and I love the boys of the Knights of D20.
But that's it.
That's it. That's all. No other men. Except Coolguard. But he's made up in my head. If we could all have the freedom of Dark Down, the world would be a better place.
Yeah. That's our aspiration.
Yes.
Oh, double D.
Oh, double D. What a girl. I can't believe I had to roleplay her for more than one episode, and now I have to roleplay her for so many more episodes.
Oh, yeah, you made her a thing.
I sure did. I made her too scary and creepy and cute all at once.
It's an intoxicating mixture.
Right? She's just, you love to hate her, and you hate to love her. Just like us. Well, thank you, Robin, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you to everybody who listened. We love you.
We love you. Later, champ.
Later, champ.